If you're watching this, there's a good chance you've always felt like you're living in a world that wasn't made for you. Like your mind operates on a completely different frequency from everyone else around you. You're not imagining it. For specific personality types, the INFJ, INTJ, ENFJ, and ENTP make up less than 10% of the population, yet they experience the world with an intensity that most people can't understand. These rare minds share patterns that make them feel like permanent outsiders. But what if I told you that feeling like an outsider isn't a flaw? The reality behind these numbers tells a different story. Most people assume personality types are evenly distributed, but the data reveals something shocking about how rare certain minds actually are. When researchers analyzed millions of personality assessments, they discovered that 4 specific types exist in numbers so small they create their own form of social isolation. The INTJ makes up just 2.1% of the population. The INFJ represents only 1.5%, making it the rarest personality of the 16-type system. The ENFJ accounts for 2.5%, while the ENTP reaches 3.2%. Combined, these 4 types represent less than 10% of all people. To put this in perspective, if you're in a room of 100 people, fewer than 10 will share your cognitive wiring. You're statistically guaranteed to be misunderstood by the vast majority of people you encounter. Despite their rarity, these types consistently report feeling different and disconnected from the social mainstream. The very traits that make them unique also make them feel fundamentally separate from everyone around them. When you process information differently from 90% of the population, every interaction carries the weight of translation between your inner world and theirs. The mathematical reality creates daily challenges that most people never face. The likelihood of an INTJ meeting another INTJ in their daily environment is roughly 2 in 100. For INFJs, it drops to 1.5 in 100. Even when rare minds do encounter each other, they often don't recognize the connection immediately because they've learned to mask their true processing style to fit into the majority world. This statistical isolation shapes every aspect of social interaction. When you're wired differently from 90% of the population, small talk feels meaningless, surface-level relationships feel empty, and your natural way of processing information gets misinterpreted as coldness or judgment. You not being difficult, you simply operating with cognitive functions that the majority doesn't share or understand. The general population moves through social interactions with an ease that rare minds rarely experience. They find connection and understanding in ways that feel natural and effortless. For rare minds, every conversation requires conscious effort to bridge the gap between how they naturally think and how others expect them to communicate. Being special doesn't feel special when you're living it daily. It feels isolating, confusing, and often exhausting. You might excel at seeing patterns others miss, understanding complex systems, or creating innovative solutions. But these abilities come with the constant awareness that you're operating on a different wavelength from almost everyone around you. Understanding your statistical position is the first step to leveraging your unique perspective. When you realize that feeling different isn't a personal failing but a mathematical reality, you can start working with your rarity instead of against it. The numbers don't lie about your statistical isolation, but they also don't lie about your unique value. Your rare mind processes information in ways that 90% of people cannot replicate. This difference goes far deeper than simple statistics suggest, affecting not just what you think, but how you think. The intensity of this processing creates patterns that others notice, even when they can't quite identify what makes you different. This cognitive processing manifests in a specific look that rare minds give others, and it makes people deeply uncomfortable. When you're processing information at a deeper level than most people around you, something happens to your facial expression that others find unsettling. Your eyes become focused, your expression grows serious, and people interpret this as judgment or coldness when you're actually engaged in the most intense form of listening possible. What others perceive as the intense stare actually reflects a determination to understand. Research shows this piercing gaze comes from using your dominant cognitive function to take in information and formulate the most helpful and compassionate response. Your pupils dilate slightly as your brain processes multiple layers of information simultaneously. Your eye movements become less frequent as you focus internally rather than scanning for external social cues. Your facial muscles relax into a neutral expression while your mind works at maximum capacity. Cognitive intensity defines how rare minds process information differently from the majority. While most people process thoughts and conversations at a surface level, moving quickly from topic to topic, rare minds automatically dive deeper into every piece of information they encounter. They analyze underlying patterns, search for connections, and evaluate the meaning behind what's being said. This creates a fundamentally different experience of every social interaction. Dominant introverted functions create internal processing that's invisible to others. INTJs process through introverted intuition, building complex internal models of how everything connects. INFJs use introverted intuition to understand the deeper meaning and future implications of what they're hearing, spending most of their time in their heads ruminating and creating connections. ENTPs and ENFJs, despite having extrovert-dominant functions, rely heavily on introverted thinking or feeling to process information internally before responding. This intense processing creates what others perceive as coldness, judgment, or disinterest when it's actually deep engagement. When someone shares a story with you, your mind immediately starts connecting it to broader themes, analyzing the emotions involved, and understanding the deeper implications. Your face reflects this internal complexity, but others see your serious expression and assume you're being critical or distant. They have no way of knowing that you actually giving them more attention than they've ever received from most people. This natural processing style gets misinterpreted as social rejection or superiority. People assume your serious expression means you're judging them negatively. They think your delayed responses mean you're not interested in the conversation. They interpret your need to process internally as emotional unavailability or intellectual arrogance. None of these interpretations match your actual experience, but they shape how others interact with you. Rare minds often don't realize they're projecting intensity until others react negatively. You might notice people cutting conversations short, avoiding deeper topics with you, or seeming uncomfortable when you're simply listening. These reactions feel confusing because you're offering the gift of complete attention, but others experience it as intimidating or judgmental. Your intensity is actually hyper-awareness and engagement, not disconnection. This same cognitive intensity that creates social misunderstandings also drives how you handle your inner emotional landscape in ways that confuse the people closest to you. This emotional complexity extends into how you handle feelings themselves. While most people share their feelings to process them, rare minds do something completely different that confuses everyone around them. When something emotional happens, your first instinct isn't to call a friend or immediately discuss your feelings. Instead, you retreat inward, analyzing what you're experiencing before you can even begin to put it into words. This internal emotional processing creates a fundamental disconnect between how you handle emotions and what others expect from you. Rare minds process emotions internally before, or instead of, sharing them with others. Research shows that thinking types like INTJs approach emotions like a puzzle. There's a logical solution somewhere in the mess, and they're determined to find it, usually on their own. You need time to understand what you're feeling, why you're feeling it, and what it means before you can articulate it to someone else. This isn't avoidance or emotional shutdown, it's careful emotional stewardship. You protecting both yourself and others by ensuring you understand your emotions completely before involving them in your processing. This private processing gets labeled as emotional unavailability or coldness when it's actually careful emotional stewardship. Partners, friends, and family members interpret your need for internal processing time as rejection or emotional distance. They want immediate access to your feelings, but you can't give them something you haven't fully understood yourself yet. Your silence during emotional moments gets misread as not caring. When you actually caring so deeply that you need to process every layer of what you experiencing. The specific cognitive functions that drive internal emotional processing work differently in each rare type. INTJs filter emotions through their internal logical framework, needing to understand the rational basis of their feelings before sharing them. INFJs process emotions through their internal value system, connecting each feeling to their deeper understanding of themselves and their relationships. ENTPs analyze emotions through their thinking function, dissecting the logical components of emotional experiences. ENFPs filter feelings through their internal values, ensuring their emotional responses align with their authentic self before expressing them. Rare minds need to understand their emotions fully before they can articulate them to others. Research indicates that some types, particularly INTPs, need at least a week to process major emotional events before they can discuss them meaningfully. You can't explain something you haven't completely grasped yourself. This creates a processing delay that others find frustrating, but it's essential for your emotional integrity. You not withholding emotions, you ensuring that what you share is accurate and meaningful rather than reactive or incomplete. This creates misunderstandings in relationships where partners expect immediate emotional sharing. They interpret your processing time as emotional withholding or disinterest in the relationship. They want real-time access to your feelings, but you need internal clarity before you can offer external expression. Your partner might feel shut out when you actually protecting the relationship by ensuring you share emotions responsibly rather than reactively. Rare minds often feel emotions more intensely but express them more selectively. Your emotional experiences run deeper and connect to broader patterns of meaning than most people experience. However, you choose carefully when, how, and with whom you share these intense emotions. This selectivity is emotional unavailability. It's emotional intelligence that reflects your need to find deeper significance in everything you experience. This drive for significance extends into every aspect of how you approach life itself. Rare minds can't just exist in the world, they need to understand why everything matters, and this creates a problem most people don't have. When you encounter any situation, relationship, or experience, your mind immediately starts searching for the deeper significance. You simply accept things at face value because your brain is wired to find the underlying patterns and connections that give everything meaning. The relentless drive for meaning and purpose that characterizes rare minds goes beyond simple curiosity. You need to understand not just what is happening, but why it's happening, what it connects to, and what it means for the bigger picture. Every conversation, every decision, every relationship gets filtered through your internal meaning-making system. You can't turn this off, even when you want to just relax and enjoy something simple. Carl Jung himself recognized this pattern when he observed that the overarching problem in his psychiatric clientele was a lack of purpose and meaning in life, and he believed a religious solution was essential for restoring their psychological health and vitality. This constant search for deeper meaning makes small talk feel pointless and surface-level relationships feel empty. When someone asks about the weather or discusses celebrity gossip, your mind rebels against the meaninglessness of it. You not being snobbish, your brain literally craves substance and significance in ways that casual conversations can't satisfy. You find yourself steering conversations toward deeper topics, often making others uncomfortable with your need for authentic connection. Rare minds naturally see patterns and connections that others miss or ignore. Your brain automatically links current experiences to past events, future possibilities, and broader themes. When a friend mentions a work problem, you instantly see how it connects to their relationship patterns, their core values, and their long-term goals. This pattern recognition is a gift, but it also means you're processing multiple layers of meaning while others are simply sharing a story. The exhaustion that comes from constantly processing life through a meaning-making lens affects you daily. Every interaction requires energy because you can't help but analyze its deeper significance. You attend a social gathering and your mind works overtime connecting conversations to larger themes, understanding the group dynamics, and searching for authentic moments of connection. Others leave feeling entertained, while you leave feeling mentally drained from the intensity of your processing. This creates disconnect in social situations focused on entertainment or casual interaction. When others want to watch a lighthearted movie, you find yourself analyzing the characters' motivations and the film's deeper themes. When they want to gossip about mutual friends, you're thinking about the psychological patterns behind the behavior. Your need for meaning transforms every experience into something more complex than others intended. Rare minds often outgrow environments and relationships as they evolve and seek deeper purpose. You might find yourself losing interest in friendships that stay surface level, jobs that lack meaningful impact, or activities that don't connect to your larger sense of purpose. Sometimes you need to withdraw completely to grapple with understanding yourself and your complex inner world that's hard to explain to others. This isn't about being difficult, it's about your fundamental need for experiences that feed your meaning-making drive. Your meaning-making drive is actually your superpower for creating authentic, purposeful lives. While others might drift through experiences without much deeper consideration, you naturally align your choices with your values and long-term vision. However, these same powerful traits that make you unique can also become your greatest challenges when they're not properly understood or managed. These gifts come with shadow patterns that can sabotage your relationships and well-being if left unchecked. Your depth becomes overthinking. Your authenticity becomes impossible standards. Your emotional intelligence becomes burnout from giving too much. Understanding these shadow patterns helps you recognize when your greatest strengths are working against you. The strengths of rare minds can become liabilities when taken to extremes. Your hyper-awareness, which allows you to see patterns others miss, can spiral into analysis paralysis where you overthink every social interaction until you're too exhausted to engage authentically. Your drive for meaningful connections can create standards so high that no relationship feels worthy of your investment. Your emotional depth can lead to taking on everyone else's problems until you're completely drained. Martyrdom becomes a real risk when your natural empathy and desire to help others goes unchecked. You start believing that your role is to sacrifice your needs for everyone else's well-being. This creates resentment over time because you're giving more than you're receiving, but you've taught others to expect this imbalanced dynamic. You become the friend everyone calls during a crisis but who never feels comfortable asking for support in return. Superiority complexes can develop when you consistently feel misunderstood by others. You start believing that your way of processing information is inherently better than everyone else's. This creates distance in relationships because you approach interactions with an unconscious sense of intellectual or emotional superiority. Others sense this attitude and respond by withdrawing, which reinforces your belief that you're fundamentally different and somehow above the normal social world. Your hyper-awareness can lead to overthinking and analysis paralysis in social situations. You notice every micro-expression, every shift in tone, every subtle change in body language. Instead of helping you connect better with others, this awareness becomes overwhelming. You spend so much energy analyzing what's happening that you can't be present for the actual interaction. You replay conversations for hours afterward, dissecting every moment for deeper meaning. The drive for authenticity can create impossibly high standards for relationships. You refuse to engage in small talk or surface-level connections, which eliminates most social opportunities. You expect every interaction to be meaningful and every relationship to reach profound depths quickly. These expectations leave you isolated because most relationships need time to develop the depth you crave immediately. Boundary issues arise when rare minds give too much of themselves to others. Your emotional intelligence makes you excellent at understanding what others need, but you struggle to recognize your own limits. You become the person everyone turns to for advice, support, and emotional processing. You absorb other people's emotions and problems as if they were your own, leading to emotional overwhelm and burnout. When these patterns reach their breaking point, some rare minds resort to extreme measures like the door slam phenomenon. This happens when you can no longer tolerate bad treatment or emotional drain from someone, leading you to abruptly shut them out completely. This protective mechanism feels necessary in the moment but often damages relationships that could have been saved with better boundaries. These shadow patterns explain why rare minds report higher rates of loneliness despite their emotional intelligence. Your natural gifts become barriers when they're not balanced with healthy boundaries and realistic expectations. Recognizing these patterns is essential, but what if the real problem isn't your rarity at all? The solution lies in completely reframing how you understand your difference. What if everything you've been told about fitting in is wrong, and your outsider status is actually your greatest asset? The world has convinced you that being different is a problem to solve, but what if your rarity is actually the lens through which you can create the most meaningful life possible? Instead of trying to fix yourself to match everyone else, you can start leveraging your unique perspective as the powerful tool it was meant to be. The paradigm shift from viewing rarity as a problem to seeing it as a unique lens for navigating life changes everything about how you approach relationships and opportunities. You've spent years believing that your intensity, your need for depth, and your different way of processing emotions were obstacles to overcome. The truth is, these traits are your competitive advantages in a world that desperately needs the perspectives and solutions that only rare minds can provide. Feeling different doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It means you're operating with cognitive abilities that most people don't possess. Your brain processes information through multiple layers of analysis that others can't access. Your emotional intelligence reads situations and people in ways that provide insights others completely miss. Your drive for meaning creates purpose and direction that guides you toward fulfilling experiences. Rare personalities serve as the leading edge of human consciousness, expanding what it means to be human. Rare minds bring transformational presence to relationships and communities. When you show up authentically, you give others permission to drop their masks and connect on a deeper level. Your natural ability to see beneath the surface helps people understand themselves better. Your genuine interest in meaningful conversations creates spaces where real connection can happen. You don't just participate in relationships, you elevate them. As Jung recognized, rare personalities serve as catalysts for growth and authenticity in others. The specific gifts that come with emotional depth, hyper-awareness, and meaning-driven living create value in every environment you enter. Your emotional depth allows you to understand complex human dynamics and respond with genuine empathy. Your hyper-awareness helps you notice patterns and connections that lead to innovative solutions. Your meaning-driven approach ensures that your choices align with your values and create lasting satisfaction. Your selective sharing and deep processing create more meaningful connections when properly understood. The relationships you do form tend to be incredibly strong because they rebuild on genuine compatibility and mutual understanding. Research shows that types like INFJs typically limit their close friendships to a few, preferring a small, well-chosen group of friends that meets their need for depth, intimacy, and authenticity. Your careful approach to emotional sharing ensures that when you do open up, it creates profound intimacy and trust. Your outsider perspective gives you the ability to see solutions and possibilities others miss. You're not trapped by conventional thinking because you've never fully belonged to conventional systems. This freedom allows you to approach problems creatively and see opportunities that others overlook. Your different viewpoint becomes an asset in any situation that requires innovation or fresh thinking. Being rare isn't about fixing yourself to fit in, it's about finding the right people and environments where you can thrive. Your goal isn't to become like everyone else, but to find the contexts where your unique abilities are valued and appreciated. This requires being selective about relationships, career choices, and communities, but it also means creating a life that truly fits who you are rather than fighting against your natural design. The path forward starts with accepting that your different processing style isn't just valid, it's necessary for your authentic fulfillment. Feeling like an outsider isn't a bug in your system, it's a feature that signals you operating on a different level. Your intensity, emotional depth, and need for meaning aren't problems to fix. They're indicators that your mind processes the world in ways most people can't access. If you recognize yourself in these patterns, embrace your rarity while learning practical strategies for authentic connection. You don't need to change who you are to belong, you need to find the right people and environments where your unique perspective is valued. The upcoming series will provide type-specific guidance for turning your outsider status into genuine belonging.